So this is Heidi again. We are talking today about, or I guess in a continuation of our last conversation, we just spoke about working from home and working from home, particularly with kids, and how you can try to make that more effective, which is something I have absolutely no expertise in personally. But this time I wanted to talk a little bit about something, that we're all going through, and Heidi is an expert in as well, and that is career management. Heidi helps people in her professional life with resume writing, with LinkedIn, with career searches, and she's excellent at her job. So if you are going through anything and need to talk to someone, reach out to Heidi at Career Path Writing Solutions. But we have just general advice. And I think the first thing I'd like to say is we just talked about giving yourself grace to fail. And when you're raising kids and working from home, I think we all need to remember we're going to put about 50 million long-term projects on our to-do list. I mean, one of mine is organize my attic. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get to it because I don't really want to. So,
probably not then.
so I think we all need to just give ourselves the grace to realize that, we have long-term things we want to do, and they're not all going to be successful, but there's some that we should really try to do. So with that being said, let's just want to talk to Heidi about career management and where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So I've been thinking about this of, what can we do now to manage our careers? Because so many of us, whether we're employed individuals like through a company or whether we're self-employed, we're just faced with so much uncertainty. So I think just acknowledging that, and if anyone has ever heard me talk, I know Courtney, you've heard me say this about proactively manage your career. I'm all about being proactive. Well, now is the time. If you haven't been proactive, now is the time to start being proactive. And not too long ago, I wrote a blog post about this, and I sketched out 5 different tips. And this is not in the order in the blog post, and I'm gonna flip it up a bit here, but I'd say this is a really good time for reflection. So, and this is, so for active job seekers or business owners, reflect, like ensure that what you're doing now, does this align with where you want to be going? And a tremendous tool, I can really geek out on this tool, is the Clifton Strengths Assessment. It's the assessment that finally made it click to me of how in the world I went from being trained to be a history professor to choosing to be a resume writer. Like, it did not seem an obvious fit. But so this tool, it's backed by over 50 years of research from Gallup. The whole premise is we're happiest and most productive from operating from our strengths. So if you're faced now with a little bit of downtime, or even you're just dealing with lots of, I think we all can say we're dealing with a lot of maybe swirling thoughts and emotions and concerns and all of this stuff, that assessment is to get your top 5 strengths is $20. And I have no affiliation with the company. I just think it's a great tool. I use it all the time with my clients. So
I think, sorry, I was gonna say, when I worked with you years ago, I think you had me do it. And one of them, if I'm remembering, one was like resilience and connecting, which is, to me, that's what this is. We're trying to, keep everyone informed and connect the world. So exactly.
And that's one of your strengths where I think, oh yeah, this is a time there's an opportunity to connect. And you're the one though, texting me, on a Saturday, hey, I have an idea. Like you're leveraging that strength. So that's, we all have strengths. And when we're able to operate from those, we just tend to be happier. So this could be a good time. And I'm not saying you need to meditate for 20 hours straight, but just think about, like, what do I want? Am I heading down that path that I want? Am I on the right path? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to make slight adjustments? I would say now too, and I'm speaking to people who might be finding that they're having a little bit more downtime than their norm that they're accustomed to. But this applies for anybody, this is something that to me is just part of proactive career management, is learning new skills. So you never want to become stale. So if, right?
No, that sounds really boring. I'm sorry.
So, for instance, I think that when all is said and done, it is going to be really hard for someone to have a video interview and say, I've never used this before. I'm sorry that it didn't go quite as I planned. I had a technical glitch. Because now is the time. Learn how to use this stuff if you have not been using it, because it's a primary mode of communication now for many business professionals. And yeah, take the opportunity to learn this. And by pure, I mentioned this a little bit earlier to you, Courtney, by pure chance, the current blog post on my website is tips for a successful video interview. So go figure. That was planned out months ago.
It's, yeah. And I think on that same note, coming out of this, we don't quite know what the world's going to look like, right? So I would guess there are going to be companies that realize they don't need full offices anymore, and this becomes the norm for them. So I think, any skill you can do to make your life more integrated with technology and less intrusive on your home life will be a good skill for all of us to have.
I wonder why you say that.
I don't know.
So another thing that we can all be doing is, and this is really natural with the times we're in, is staying connected. So usually I use the word network, network and create a strong network of people, of advocates, but in LinkedIn. So even though we have to practice social distancing, we still have LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a tremendous tool. You don't have to purchase the premium. You can still do so much with that, the free version, and connecting with people. A typical way we talk about networking for job seekers is, of course, to learn about companies, learn about job opportunities. But at this point, I mean, that all still stands, but I think it's nice to just also check in with people, the heartfelt, just writing to say hi, how are things going for you?
And I'll say, since this started, I've had Zoom meetings with my college suite mates, and I don't think we've all seen each other's faces maybe since a wedding. It's been a while. I also kept my regular happy hour with my networking group so that we could just still have a drink and connect. Because I think that we might not be networking in the same way we would have been, but we're still going to be talking to each other. Yeah. It needs to be social and business.
Yeah. Well, and one time, so as you know, I also, sometimes I edit business books. And one of my clients is Dr. Ivan Meisner, founder of BNI. And I remember one time and you don't edit something and not learn the material. And I remember he's talking about, I forget what the exact term was, kind of like close contacts, like strong advocates. And I said, well, like how many and how strong? Like, what does that look like in practice? And his response was something to the effect of like, well, knowing the birthday of the spouse and children.
Yeah.
Like, wow. So that told me, as someone who's I visited BNI, but I've not been a member of, that's not just, so what are you working on with your business? Or it's really knowing people, really knowing them at a deeper level than just seeing someone at a conference once a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, want a couple other tips?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
Yes. Documenting accomplishments. Create that as a habit. I tell people to create a small wins folder. So it doesn't have to be, oh, I got an award from the town or from my university or from this organization or whatever. It can be, oh, I got a really thoughtful email that thanked me for the work I did. And create a file, whether it's a physical file folder or a digital one. File the small wins. And that might be, your boss gave you a good, great job on this. We knew this was going to be a really tough project, and you managed to hit it out of the park. It can be, and it could be a really great 360 review at work. It could be, all different things. And what that does is you're writing them down, you're creating a habit of it. By doing that, you'll have easier recall. And if you ever find yourself unexpectedly needing to update your resume, needing to look for a job, it's going to take you a lot less longer to be thinking about, well, what are my accomplishments? Because with resumes, there was a time when a lot of it was a trend with them was showing responsibilities.
Right.
The trend now, we have to give, of course, an overview to let people know what you do, but it's so much focused on accomplishments. And if you're really struggling to think about, well, what are some accomplishments I've had? That's just going to delay your process.
That makes a lot of sense. And I would also think it could be useful in your reflection period, because if you're looking at your daily wins and all of them are coming out of like this type of project work, you obviously probably like that more than the stuff that you're not doing.
And not just even too, if you're finding yourself looking for new work, this could be refreshing your mind for an annual review. Yeah, because that's a time where you can be leveraging to try to get a raise or above average raise. So if you have those on hand, and I just say it can really help if you have a rough day.
That's true.
Go back and look at those, and it gives you a little boost. It gives you a little, stand a little taller.
We all need that.
The last tip I would say is maintaining up-to-date documents. You always want to be in what I call ready mode. So every time you have a major accomplishment or a new work experience, a promotion, or you're starting a business or whatever, take that as a time to update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, so that way you're not caught with an instance where I need my resume and I haven't looked at it in 10 years or 5 years for that matter.
Yeah. How often would you say for the average person they should update their LinkedIn or profile?
Yeah. So every time you have a major accomplishment or change, or once a year, whatever happens first. Okay.
That's what I was figuring, because I tend to go back about once a year, read mine and be like, okay, this is a little different now, and need to do something small.
Yeah, and updating, because if you're documenting accomplishments, that also means you're documenting the new skills you've learned, and then you can update all of that. Mm-hmm. So then you get the call, hey, we have an opening. I thought of you, because that's the best case scenario.
Right.
Can you send me your resume? And you don't want to say, yeah, I've been so busy. I'll work on it over the weekend. I'll try to send it to you within a week or two. It's much better to be able to say, yep, I'll take a look at it, and I'll just review it once and get it your way by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or say, yeah, I'll send, so being in ready mode is helpful.
And I would say even for like mine, I don't put up on my LinkedIn or my Facebook or anything all my sales, because people will get really tired of that. But I do try to put on there when I get a really good sale or a certification or something I'm really excited about, because that's more interesting to me, and therefore probably more interesting to other people.
Exactly. So. And for some fields, if someone is in a situation like what I'm in. So I work with clients individually. They don't need to see that because I keep a CV. I keep an academic style CV. They don't need to see that. It's irrelevant to them. But if an organization is looking to bring me in to teach a class or a workshop, I can submit that. And in that case, the range of clients or the number of clients or all these things that it's not relevant to be putting out. And it's not necessarily useful if you're posting, something like that on LinkedIn, because I think of LinkedIn as providing value to others. But in that instance, where it's a more private exchange, it can be valuable. So that's where the keeping something updated works.
Well, and what I would say is, along that same note, what I've been going back through the past few weeks and trying to update, I don't think I've done my Duke one yet, but I did my undergrad, is the ones on my internal alumni situation. Not only for job hunting, but also so I can be a reference point to other people. Or if they're moving here, hey, do we know a realtor in the area? Oh, look, there's one in our alumni group.
Yes.
So I think that could be useful for, we do a lot of mentorship through both Duke and Williams. I'm sure you have as well. And that's one thing alumni networks can be good for, is just reflection and questions and networking. So don't forget about that.
Exactly. No, you're right. And I'm like, ooh, now I have something to add to my to-do list. Thanks, Courtney.
Sorry.
No, but you're absolutely correct, because it's, you're absolutely correct, because you want that to be relevant. I know there's one site out there that I have stuff up and I need to update it because it's not reflective anymore of like just some of the services I offer, even because I did it so long ago.
Right.
So those are some tips, kind of as a recap, like reflecting on your goals, learning new skills, networking, checking in this period, checking in with people, this checking in, documenting accomplishments and maintaining those up-to-date documents. Yep.
All good advice. And in the meantime, just everyone stay healthy and stay inside.
Yes. Wash your hands. Stay 6 feet away from everybody.
Yeah. Listen to Dr. Fauci. We'll all get through this.
Yes.
So, and I will, hopefully you and I can go to an actual lunch in person and catch up sometime soon, because
I know
we haven't done that in too long.
It has been too long. So
I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Have a good one. Thanks, Heidi.
Bye.
Bye.